Hi, everyone, and welcome to the webinar on Mastering Fixed Asset Management in Dynamics 365 Finance. Let me first give you a little bit introduction about myself. My name is Kaisar Abbas Ghazi. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and a functional consultant for Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, where my core competency is as a finance functional consultant. I'm also the functional consultant for one of the another ERP, that is Dynamics 365 Business Central. If I talk about myself, I possess an overall experience of about 6 years. I've worked as a project engineer, I've worked as a financial analyst, and recent 2+ years into the training and development. Okay. And here are certain details. If you want to reach out to me anytime, maybe not, do not restrict yourself to only these courses. If you want to reach out to me related to any query, I have pasted my email address, I have pasted my LinkedIn ID, and we at Koenig offer a variety of courses. So you can just go ahead and check it the same at koenigsolutions.com. Okay. So this was a quick introduction about myself. Now, today's agenda, as you might have seen, which is going to be the fixed asset management. What we are going to discuss about is what are the fixed assets, and then what are the different ways, what are the depreciation, what is a depreciation, how are the books mapped to the different fixed asset groups, and then apart from that, we are also going to discuss how we acquire the asset, how we done the depreciation of the asset, and then at the end, when the life of an asset gets obsolete, how we get rid from that asset itself, either by scrapping or selling. So I'm going to give you the insight that what is the difference between the scrapping of an asset as well as the selling of an asset. Okay. And see, it's we are going to have end last 10 minutes for question and answers. So any questions you might be having related to the any of the concepts that we are going to discuss today, we are going to take some questions. So I would love to answer those questions for you. Okay, now let's start. Okay, so I'll come over here. Let me give you first the brief introduction about how what is this exact course. Okay, so the name of the exact course is MB 310, and it's a full-fledged 32-hour course, right? And there are different learning paths we need to understand, right? If I talk about it, it says the name of this course is going to be Finance Functional Consultant Associate. Okay, so if you want to give the examination, you need to give the examination MB 310. So the entire name of the certification is going to be Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, Finance Functional Consultant Associate. Okay, and it's a 32-hour full-fledged course. Okay, and let me give you the brief introduction. Nevertheless, it's not a part of our agenda, but let me give you the brief introduction that what are the different types of learning paths that that are a part of this course itself. So first and foremost is known as the general ledger. We call it configuration of financial management. Okay, then we have second, it's known as the configuration of accounts receivable and credit and collections. Then we have our AP processes, which is going to be configuration of accounts payable and expense management. Okay, and then we have fourth, which is going to be our budgeting, and fifth one, which is known as the fixed assets. Okay, so this is the entire agenda as far as our course MB 310 is concerned. Okay, we have 5 different learning paths we need to cover as a part of it, but today our focus is going to be mainly on the fixed asset. Okay, so I'm going to give you the 360-degree view of the fixed assets. What are the fixed assets? How do we create? How do we acquire? And then at the end, how we run the depreciation. What is a depreciation? How do we run the depreciation proposal? And at the end, how we get the rid from that asset itself. Okay, so this is the entire agenda for today. That is going to be our fixed assets. Okay, now some of you which will be new to this concept, what is a fixed assets and what is a current asset? Okay, so fixed assets is something which we say is having a life more than 1 year. Okay, so for example, any firm which is having a building, which is having any kind of machinery, and which is having any kind of vehicle. Okay, those all those all different types of asset, they fall under the category of the fixed assets, which have a life more than 1 year, which we can use for more than 1 year. And if we are using those kinds of assets for who the life is going to be less than 1 year, we cater them under the category of our current assets. Okay. Now, there are certain example. I've given you the example of the fixed assets. Okay, we have our buildings, we have our machinery, we have our plants, right? Anything, land we have, right? So all of those are going to fall under our fixed assets. Now, if I like to talk about the current assets are your trade receivables. Let's say, for example, just basic example I would like to give you. Okay, so let's imagine I am a firm and I have a customer. Okay, so I go ahead and create any kind of sales order with this customer, and when the time comes, he is supposed to pay me back for that money. Maybe I set the terms of payment with him that, okay, I'm creating a sales order for you and you are supposed to pay me back within 10 days or 20 days. Now this is something that is associated, that is, this is going to be a trade receivable for me, and it's going to fall under the category of my current asset, because the terms that I have set with him is going to be only 20 or 30 days at max. The organization trying to, based on what kind of relationship they possess with the particular customer, they set the terms of payment, maybe a month at max, maybe 2 months at max, right? But they are all going to fall under our current assets. So this is going to fall under trade receivables, which is our current asset, because we are going to receive it within the stipulated amount of time. If we are setting, okay, let's say for example, any kind of what do we say, any kind of short term, what do we say, this loan we have set, okay, that is going to be a liability for us, right? So that is a separate concept. But today, let's try to focus only on the asset side itself. Okay, so just an example, any asset that we hold for more than 1 year, it's going to fall under the fixed assets. But if it's going to have life less than 1 year, okay, which is going to be our, like the example I gave you, the trade receivables. Apart from that, we have the cash in hand, right? So it's quickly liquidated, right? So whatever cash in our hand is, it's also going to fall under the category of our current assets. Okay, and let's proceed ahead. Let's now try to talk about the fixed asset components that we are going to discuss as a part of our today's agenda, which I'm going to show you also in our platform itself. Okay, now you can see we create different types of fixed assets. Okay, in our Dynamics 365 finance and operations platform. Okay, we create the fixed assets, and it is mandatory for us to add the fixed asset under a particular group. Okay, maybe we are creating laptops. Okay, laptops will fall under my computers category. We are creating a car, right? It's going to fall under my vehicles. Now those asset groups, like it's shown in the picture also, those groups will be linked with the books. And what are these books? These books are nothing but they actually represent your depreciation books. Okay, what type of depreciation you are mapping. Okay, and then it's going to be associated with the depreciation profiles. Okay, maybe if we are using our IFRS standard, we have our SLSL, which is straight life service line. Okay, or we are using the SSLR, that is service life remaining, based on what criteria you might have set. Okay, on the basis of that, the depreciation profiles get mapped to a particular asset itself. Okay, now also the books are associated, they are linked with your posting profiles. Now, what is the meaning of posting profile? Okay, it's an excellent question. Now, let's imagine we have an asset, right? And every year we need to run the depreciation with that asset itself, right? And we have certain gains and losses based on what kind of transaction we try to do with that asset, right? So in that case, we need to map the posting profiles. That means automatically, whenever we performing a particular task, whenever we are, let's say, for example, we are running a depreciation, so automatically the transactions should get posted at the back end. And how they will get posted? The accounts that will be set up in our posting profiles. I'm going to show you also. Okay. And then app is going to get linked to the general ledger. So when I'm saying the posting profiles are the accounts, that are the same accounts that we have created in our chart of accounts in our general ledger itself. Right. Now let me try to show you. Okay. And this is the platform, how the platform looks whenever you log in for the first time. For some of you, since many of you come from the different background, right? So whenever you log in for the first time into the finance and operations, this is how the default dashboard page displays in front of you, right? I would have loved to went ahead and gave you the deep introduction about what are the different things, what are these styles called, okay, what are the workspaces, what are the modules, right? But it would take me a lot of time, right? So what I'll do, I'll just quickly try to focus and I'll try to come back to our core agenda itself, okay? But just for the information, remember these are known as the workspaces, or we call them as styles, right? And here we have the different types of modules we can access in our finance and operations, okay? And fixed assets also we are going to find over here, right? Now, if you want to expand each and everything, you can just click on the expand all, and every information related to the fixed assets is going to display over here, right? And if you want to collapse, just click on the collapse and it's all going to get collapsed itself, okay? Now coming back to our agenda that we were discussing, okay? So first and foremost, I was telling you about the books. Now see, what are the different types of books? Okay, we have federal tax, we have state like service like that I was discussing with you. We have state tax. Now, what do these actually indicate? They actually indicate that for a particular asset, you need to run the depreciation based on what criterion you have selected. If you are following the IFRS standard, they try to tell you that you have to run, say for example, SLSL, straight line service line remaining. Okay, and along with that, you need to take care of the Companies Act also. You need to take care of the federal tax also. You need to take care of the state tax also. So you define every book over here. Now let me show you one magic over here. As soon as I click on the fixed asset groups, okay, I told you that we have different types of we have different types of groups. I create a laptop, I add it under my computers, right? I create a car, I add it under my vehicles. Now see, there's already the groups are in place over here. If I hover about the computers, I click on the books and I can see what are the different types of depreciation profiles that are linked. Okay, that means mandatory I need to run the depreciation proposal for all of the different books that are defined over here. Perfect. I hope so far it's clear. It's nothing so tricky. Now let's come over. The second thing that I would like to discuss with you is going to be your fixed asset posting profile. Now, I would, like I was mentioning to you a few minutes back when I was on the OneNote, I told you that what are these posting profiles? You're running a depreciation proposal and automatically automatically the accounts are going to get affected at the backend. Now, if I'll open it, see, if we are acquiring an asset, for that, what are the different types of books that are linked and what are the accounts that should get impacted? And when we are getting rid of the asset, maybe the disposal, either in the form of a sale or a scrap, which I'm going to discuss with you. What is the difference between a sale or a scrap? And the time, see, what are the depreciation? What is the write-down adjustments? What is the acquisition value? What is the net book value? So what are the accounts that should get impacted? So everything is defined over here. So that means whenever you're running any depreciation, automatically the system is going to post transactions in the correct accounts. And those accounts we are defined in the part of the general ledger, like I have shown you this in the form of the picture also. Okay, now let's come back. Set up and creating the fixed assets. Super easy task. Now we have defined our depreciation profiles. We talked about the books. We talked about the posting profiles. Now as easy task for us is to go ahead, create a fixed asset. Okay, now let's see how do we create the fixed asset here. We click on this fixed asset and again the fixed assets over here. I'll create a new one. And let me keep these fast tabs closed so that we can get, I will just instruct you about each one of these criterions one by one. Okay, but first, see, it's a very important parameter for me to go ahead and select the fixed asset group. That means you are creating an asset, but this asset is going to fall under which group, right? So we are going to define a group over here, which is going to be our computers. Okay, and now see, computer number is automatically popping up, which is going to be the computer number 9, right? But why not the computer number 1 or 2? And why the system why the system is not allowing me to manually enter what is going to be the computer number? The reason behind it is it's a separate concept which is known as the number sequences. Okay, what are the number sequences? They are our unique identifiers, right? Uniquely we identify a particular record. Perfect. Perfect. I got certain responses in the chat box also, which states as the number series. Okay. So it's a separate concept. What is a continuous number sequence? What is the non-continuous number sequence? It's going to deviate. But let's say a simple example I would like to give you. You went to a MACD and you order something. Okay, I guess I went to McD and I order for fries. I order for a Coke and maybe a burger. And after me, some another person comes and maybe he orders something different. He orders a pizza and maybe he orders a cake, chocolate cake. Okay. Now, there is no way unless and until there's a unique identifier. How do they identify that this order belongs to Kesar or the second order belongs to some another customer? As you can see, you might have went to the stores also. You see they give you a slip, and on that slip there's a number written over there, 8, maybe 9. That 8 represents you, that 9 represents some another customer. In the similar way, if they are using the numbers to identify their customers, we also use the similar type of number series in our finance and operations to uniquely identify the different types of records. Okay, and maybe the computers, maybe our customers, maybe our vendors, for each and everything, you will have this parameter over here, which is known as the number sequences. Okay. Now let me quickly give the name. Let's say we are giving the name. It's a 9. So let's give it the name laptop number 9. And the search name also is going to be laptop 9. And it's a tangible asset. Okay. Again, it's going to deviate me for the from the task. Okay. Tangible is something which we can touch, we can feel. Intangible is something which we cannot touch, which is again going to fall under the category of the assets itself. Okay, which goodwill, patents, trademarks. So those are just the names which we cannot physically touch. Okay, so let's move ahead. Now, once you have identified, you have given the laptop number its name, then you can add the technical information. Okay, what was the model number? What is the series? What is the model year? And what is the technical information? Okay, technical information related to the laptop, maybe what is the RAM size? What is the hard disk size? And maybe what is the graphics card, if it's some superior asset or not. In that case, you can define the same also. Apart from that, there's one more concept that we need to understand, which is going to be the transfer of a fixed asset. Okay, maybe in real life scenarios, multiple times an asset gets transferred from one department to another department, and which has gone many updations. Maybe sometimes you upgrade the RAM, you upgrade the hard disk, okay, of a particular laptop. So some maintenance, if you have done, you can define the date for it also. Okay, and what is the asset condition? Okay, so if you are purchasing new, obviously, then you are going to put it under the excellent condition itself, right? Then certain more details, what is the insurance details associated, what is the policy number, right? So you can associate the same. Then what is the location? That means you are creating an asset, but where you are going to store it. Okay, maybe at some certain specific place. Okay, maybe your headquarters. Okay, maybe at a specific location. So that location you can define over here. Then what is the room number and the person responsible. Now, this concept you might have seen in real life scenarios for the different types of firms you will be working in. There's a specific concept which is known as the tagging of an asset. Okay, so whenever you join an organization, then asset gets tagged to you. The tagging means you are responsible for handling that asset. So in the same way, you can specify which is going to be the person responsible. Okay, just click on the drop down. These are some by default, some people that are already over here in our finance and operations platform. So you can just assign a specific person over there. And if he or she is going to fall under a specific department, any specific room number, that you can enter over here, right? Then lease informations, again, it's a separate concept. How we give the asset on leases to some another organization on a different percentage. Okay, then in such cases, you can define what is the lease ID of this asset and what is the lease description. Okay, that is going to fall under the category of the fixed asset leases. Okay, and any reference or notes you want to add, any report you want to add related to this asset, you can add over here. And then structure. Now, this is maybe very important concept we need to understand over here. Okay, let's imagine for a second I have got a mouse, okay, that I'm going to use. But the mouse does not carry a specific purpose. If I'm getting a mouse, unless and until I have not attached it to a particular fixed asset, it's not going to work. It's useless for me, right? In the same way, here we can define that I am creating this asset. What is its main fixed asset? If I am creating a mouse, I am going to tag it to a different asset over here. Let's say computer number 4 or computer number 5. So you can define the structure also, that what is the child category and what is the parent category, right? And then what is the image? Okay, you can upload the new image. I'll just click on this and make one of the file I have over here. I'll just open it. Okay, here it is. So this is the image. Uniquely, this is how you will identify your asset. Okay, you have created this asset. You have created. I'm reiterating it back again and again. You have created an asset. Okay, but you have not acquired this asset. There's a two different. These are two different scenarios. You have created it, but you have not acquired it. Let me show you. If I'll click on save and I'll go to books. Now, how are these books displaying in front of me? Because I added this laptop under my computers, and computers category create, they are linked with the different types of books. So automatically the books for this particular laptop are going to display over here. Perfect. And see, the status is showing as not yet acquired. That means I have created it, but I have not acquired it. Now let's move ahead. Let's try to acquire this asset. So for that, I'm going to go to my fixed asset journal. Let's wait. Okay, it got loaded. Let's click on new. I'll add a journal name and I'll go to lines. Okay, here. So what is the transaction type? Okay, I'm acquiring an asset. If I'm depreciating, I'm running a disposal, I'm selling, I'm scrapping it. There are a lot of options we can explore over here. But for now, we are acquiring an asset and we are going to give that asset number. So for us, it's going to be, just a second, let me hover it, laptop number 9. And let me just define the value. So let's say $1,500. I acquired it for $1,500. I click on post and we will be observing a change after this also. Okay, this operation got completed. Now if I'll come to my fixed assets again, I'll look for my asset that was my laptop number 9. If I go to my books, the status is showing as open. It was earlier showing as not yet acquired. We have acquired it and now the status is showing as open. Perfect. So far, it's everything is going in a smooth manner. What is the next resort? Let me come back to the presentation. Setup and creating the fixed assets. We have seen that how do we create the fixed assets in our finance and operations. Now, the next thing is the depreciation. How do we run the depreciation of the asset itself? Okay. Now, there are two ways. Okay. I would like to highlight one thing over here is, let me come over here. Whenever we are acquiring an asset, there are two ways. Either I acquire it manually, which I usually did, which I did to acquire an asset, or we can do it, we can run a proposal. Similarly, for running the depreciation, we can either run the depreciation manually or we can use the proposal. Okay, now let me show you. We have acquired the asset manually, okay? But for depreciation, I'm not going to run the depreciation manually. I'm going to run a proposal for it. Okay, let me show you. If I'll come over here, if you come to the journal entries and this journal side, you can see create depreciation proposal. Okay, you'll just hover above it. And now you're going to filter out the details for which asset you are trying to run the depreciation. Now let's test it. So let me remove my computer number 8 because I want to run the depreciation for it for computer number 9. Okay, so it's not over here. Just a second. Let me select it quickly. Okay, here it is. Computer number 9. Okay, what is the posting layer? In which legal entity? So it's a USMF legal entity. And to which date you want to run the depreciation? Okay, from today itself, I'm going to run till the end of this year. That is December 31st. I'll select this. If you want to filter out certain more details, that is what is the fixed asset group and for which book you want to run, you can select the details over here. But I'll click on create journal. So I've got a notification over here stating the depreciation proposal job is added to the batch queue. Now let's have a check. I'll go to my fixed asset journal and you see there is one journal that has been created by the system for me and it's in the lock state. Okay, is locked by the system. Now, why is it displaying it is being locked by the system? Because the system is actually calculating the depreciation for me, right? Now let's wait for some time till this gets completed. Let's wait. Let me refresh it quickly. Okay, now it's ready to use. Okay, it's not locked. just open this journal, either click on this or go to the lines and see the system has calculated the depreciation part. Rather than doing it manually, I run a proposal for running this depreciation. Now see, for this month, I'm getting 18.55, but for all the other months, I'm getting 25, 25, 25. The reason is very simple. 9 days have passed from the August, and that's why the amount is showing less. And for the remaining months, it's going to show me 25, 25. Perfect. And offset account. Which account is going to get impacted when I'm running the depreciation? And how is this offset account displaying in front of me? Because of the posting profiles, like I was just mentioning to you. The system is automatically taking care for us. And once we have verified the same, we can post it. Okay, we'll just click on it. Now let me show you one more thing. We'll come to the fixed assets, and look for our asset that we just created. That was 9. If I go to valuations now see, for SLSL, we run the depreciation. See, the acquisition value was showing us 1500. We run the depreciation, which was minus 180. And what is the net book value? 1381. Okay, so the system has calculated the depreciation. So on the basis of your requirement, what books are mapped with the particular asset, you can run the different types of depreciation over here. T1 150 SSLR for your state, for your federal tax. So individually, you need to go ahead and run the proposal for this book. Okay. So by default, it's going to take for SLSR. And by filtering out the detail, whenever you are creating a proposal, there you can specify that I want to run for you the federal tax. Then the system is going to run the depreciation for the federal tax. Perfect. Coming back. So we have talked about the depreciation. Okay. And for some of the people who are new to this concept, every year the system gets depreciated. Okay. Let's say, for example, what is the meaning of depreciation? If we purchase a car today, okay, we are going to use this car. So the worth of the car decreases every year, right? The more we use a particular asset, the less, worth we have, the less worth of that particular asset itself, right? So in the same way, we need to depreciate our, what do we say, our different types of fixed assets. Okay, so that's what we did. One more thing that I would like to highlight over here is, now these categories that I was showing you on in the finance and operations platform, if I'll come over here, I go to these fixed asset groups. Now, these are certain groups which are which are globally followed everywhere. Now, what if you are going to go ahead, you are going to create such kind of asset which is usually not used by any organizations across the globe? In that case, if you are following the IFRS standard, they give you the liberty that you decide, right? They have a conceptual framework, they have their own framework with which they try to tell us that how you need to proceed. Okay. And in that case, they give you liberty to select, okay, you decide yourself that for how many years you are going to run the depreciation for this particular asset itself. Okay. So let me give you the small example of the depreciation. Let's say, for example, you purchased any asset which was worth $1,000. Okay, and the life of asset, it was 5 years. Okay, and you need to follow the straight line service line method, which means every year you are going to depreciate it equally. Okay, well, how does the depreciation get calculated? You need to just simply divide 1,000 by 5, which is going to be equal to 200, right? So every year you are going to depreciate asset by $200 until and unless the net book value comes to zero of this particular asset. Like we have seen, if I'll hover above this fixed assets, if I'll come over here, look for my computer number 9. So if I go to valuations, here, see the net book value is still showing 1,381. So I need to depreciate it till the assets, till the net book value comes to zero as per the SLSL. Okay, there are different criterions that we need to follow for the different types of books that are linked with the fixed asset groups itself. Perfect. So this was one of the smallest example that I would like to give you, since many of you are new to this concept, that is the depreciation. Now let's proceed further ahead. Okay, let's try to discuss more about selling of a fixed asset. Now you have used the asset, right? You have, you have worked with the asset. You have talked about, you have used the asset. Let's say this same example we are taking over here. I have purchased an asset for $1,000. Its life was 5 years, and I've used this asset, and At the end of fifth year, let's say today is 2024, I purchased this asset, okay, and its life was 5 year, where I am now at 2029, okay, the life of asset is, it's completed, okay, it's obsolete now. Now there are two ways with which you can get rid of this asset, okay. Either you can sell it or you can scrap it, okay. Okay, these two are the different concepts that we need to understand over here. The selling of an asset as well as the scrapping of the asset. Right? Okay. So selling means that you sell this asset to your customers. You sell this asset to your customers with the help of your free text invoices. You with the help of your free text invoices, and in that case, you are going to get the some money out of it. Let's say, for example, the life of you purchased an asset for $1,000, okay, and you use, let's say it's the same example of the laptop we're taking. Let's say, nevertheless, laptop doesn't cost so much, $1,000, but just for a reference, let's take an example. You had purchased a laptop for $1,000, and at the end of 5 years, at the end of fifth year, you are saying, okay, I would like to go ahead. I would like to sell it to my one of the customers, and you'll say, okay, I'm going to sell it for $200. Okay, it is giving you the economic benefit. It's giving you benefit, right? You are selling this asset and you are earning something out of it. That is going to fall under the category of selling of an asset. But when I'm saying I'm scrapping an asset, scrapping usually we do within our organization. Okay, we scrap the asset within our organization. Let's say I'm working in the finance department and I'm scrapping, I'm getting rid of this asset. I don't require it. Its life is over. Okay. Maybe it gets transferred to some another department which can still use it. Maybe the IT, maybe some another department. And whenever I'm scrapping it within my organization, I will not get any money for it. I'm just getting rid of it. Nevertheless, I need to post a transaction, okay, that this asset is not with me. Okay, it's I have scrapped this asset, but I'm not going to get any money out of it. So that is the difference between the selling of an asset and the scrapping of an asset. Perfect. Now let's try to discuss, let's try to analyze how we can sell the asset with the help of our free text invoices. And then I'm also going to show you that how we scrap the asset. Perfect. Now let's come back. Okay, so I'll come over here. I told you that we can sell the asset with the help of our free text invoices. Okay, FTIs. I'll come over here. So fixed free text invoices, you can either go here in the search icon and look for, uh, you know, free text invoices and then open a respective page and then you can create an entry over there. But it's always feasible that if you want to learn more about this platform, you should be great at the navigation. You should know that if I am looking for a free text invoice, on which page I can find it, in which module do you think it's going to come? Now imagine for a second. Okay, come back and imagine for a second. We are talking about customers. Free text invoices, we are selling any of our asset to our customers, right? Customers are part of which process? They are part of our accounts receivable process, right? So in that case, I'll expand my module section. I'll go to accounts receivable, and maybe in one of the fast steps, I can go ahead. I can access my, what do we say? We can access our free text invoice. So if I look for my invoices, see here it is, all free text invoices. I'll open it and I'll click on new. Okay. So I'm going to first define that to which customer I am selling my fixed asset, right? So I'm selling to, let's say to Contoso Retail Los Angeles. Okay. Now see, nothing is coming over here, but I need to define that I'm selling my fixed asset, right? So here, if you come to the line details, you have the fixed asset number over here. You just click on the drop down and look for the asset that you want to sell. Maybe you want to sell this computer number 4 and define the amount. Okay, I want to sell it for 250 USD. Once you have defined the same, you can click on post. But before showing it, let me show you the impact of this transaction. Let's wait. I'll come over here. I'll go to my fixed assets and go to my fixed assets. Again, open my fixed assets from over here and go to my computer number 4. I'll go to my books and books. The status is showing as open. Okay. Now I'm selling this asset at 250. So I'll just click on the post. I'll click on OK. Let's wait. The system is processing our request. Okay, customer free text invoice. The record already exists. Okay, we have already created what do we say, sales order for this. No worries. Let's use computer number 6 and try to post it. Okay, so let's use this one. Let's post it for 250. Okay, the operation got completed. Let's have a look at it now. So I was here. I'll come back. I'll come back again. I'll go to computer number 6 and go to the books. And the status has been changed to sold. Earlier, I was having the status open, but as soon as I created a sales order, it's a kind of sales order for me because with the help of free text invoice, I was able to sell my fixed asset. Okay, so the status has changed to sold. Perfect. And this was my first concept, which I was discussing with you, which is selling the particular asset to our customers with the help of our free text invoices. Okay, and we get some money out of it. That is $200. Okay. The second concept, which is scrapping of an asset. Okay, so this I have discussed with you. What is the free text invoice and how do we sell the same? Now let's talk about disposing of an fixed asset, which we are going to dispose in the form of a scrap. Okay, now let me show you how do we scrap our fixed asset. I'll come over here. I'll go to my fixed asset journal entries, and here I'll click on again fixed asset journal. I'll click on new, create a journal, go to the lines. Now, if you remember correctly, a few minutes back I was over here. I was saying the transaction type was acquisition, but this time we are saying that disposal scrap. We are selling an asset, right? Not selling, scrapping an asset within our organization. And then I need to define which asset. Okay. Let's say I'm going to get rid of my computer number 2. Okay. And I'm not going to put any money over here. Reason being, because whenever we are scrapping an asset, we don't get any money for it, right? Like I was just mentioning to you some minutes back. Let's come over here now. Click on post. Always a feasible option for us to validate it, because if any error is associated with the journal we are trying to post, or any account where we are trying to post an entry into, okay, the system is going to throw us an error. But with the help of post also, you can just go ahead. If any error is associated, the system is going to throw it over here. Perfect. Now I got rid of this asset. Okay, and there will be a lot of entries that will get posted with the help of the disposal scrap. If we want to verify what are the different types of entries, because whenever we are scrapping, we need to make sure that every information, maybe what are the gains, what are the losses, what was the tax, what was the depreciation, what was the accumulated depreciation that got calculated with this fixed asset itself. So just go on one thing, just click on this first transaction and click on the voucher and see how many transactions got posted and how many accounts got impacted. How are these accounts getting impacted? Only one answer to this question is going to be, that is your posting profiles, right? You have defined the accounts and automatically the system is taken care. So the gain and losses, okay, what is in the tangible fixed asset accounts got impacted. For the depreciation, the accumulated depreciation, right? So see, and what are the debit and the credit entries for the tax purpose, how many entries got created, right? So everything you can see over here, right? With the help of your this voucher. Just click on it and click on the voucher. And you can find what about the different types of transaction that got posted with the fixed asset itself. Okay. Let's come back and let's come to the presentation. So disposal of fixed asset as a scrap. Okay. Okay, before summarizing today's webinar, there is some additional information I would like to give you. Okay. Now, see what I did actually. Whenever we went to the fixed assets, we went to the fixed assets page where we created one of the fixed asset, then we acquired it. Okay, but let's imagine for a moment. Let's imagine for a moment that you are creating a purchase order with your vendor, right? We create our purchase orders with our vendors. Okay, and you are ordering any specific item. You are ordering 10 items. Let's say you are ordering 10 items. First, let's say you're asking for hard disks. Okay, then maybe you're asking for a laptop. Then you're asking maybe for compact disks, then printers. Okay, you are creating it. Okay, there are two reasons you are actually creating this purchase order. Either you are you are creating a purchase order because maybe you want to add certain profit to it and then create a sales order to with your customers. Okay, you are purchasing, you are holding an inventory of these items. Okay, and then you're going to create a sales order and sell these items to your customers. Or you can define that if I'm ordering this laptop, whether this laptop is going to be a fixed asset for me or not on the sale on your purchase order page. Okay, now let's try to test it. Let me show you this. This is some additional information that I would like to give you over here. If I come over here, again, we create a purchase order. We create our purchase order with whom? With our vendors, right? So let's try to create the same. I would like to go to our accounts payable because payable is again associated with our vendors. And if I'll go to my accounts payable, purchase orders and click on all purchase orders, right? And let me go ahead and create a new purchase order. I define from which vendor I'm creating this purchase order. I'll click on OK. And here, see, I need to define what I'm ordering for which item I'm placing in order, right? So I'll say I am purchasing the Surface Pro 128 GB. Okay. And from in on which side I want this, maybe one, and then failures number. If we want to specify, you can specify the finished goods, whatever you want over here. That's not main concern. The main concern here is whether it's going to be a fixed asset for you or not, or whether you are holding this item in the form of an inventory. How you can define the same? You'll come here in your line details and go to the fixed assets. And you will enable this option, new fixed asset, that it's going to be my fixed asset. Okay, if you are disabling this option, that means you are holding this item in the form of an inventory. Okay, so rather than going on the fixed asset page and creating a fixed asset over there, you can come to your purchase order page, and on this page also you can define whether this item is going to be a fixed asset for me or not, right? So if it is, just click on this option and then you can define under which group it's going to lie. And when you have added the fixed asset under the group, automatically the books that are associated with the fixed asset group are going to get linked to the asset that you're creating right now. Okay, this is one way. But again, a question comes in your mind: why the system is actually going and allowing me to enable this option? What if I don't want it? Whether you want to restrict it. Someone create any kind of sales order or purchase order. In this case, we are creating a purchase order, and you want to restrict people to use this option, new fixed asset. So there should be a specialized setting that we should use, right? So in that case, what we are going to do is we are going to come over here in our fixed assets, go to our setup, and here we have our fixed asset parameters. Let us open that page. Here, in your fixed asset, you can see allow asset acquisition from purchasing. That means if you're creating a purchase order, you want to allow asset acquisition from purchasing. If you're disabling this option over here, then no one can go ahead and define that whether that fixed asset is going to be whether that item for which you are creating a purchase order is going to be a fixed asset for me on, because you are restricting it from over here. So that option no one can enable. Not only you can create a fixed asset from your purchase order, you can create the asset during your product receipt or invoice posting. You are posting an invoice for a particular purchase order. At the time, whenever you are trying to create an invoice, there at that time itself, you can just go ahead and determine whether this item for which I am going to generate the invoice, whether it's going to be a fixed asset for me or not, right? Not only that, check for fixed asset creation during line entry, which we did, and allow asset acquisition from purchasing, right? So all of these options, some additional options you can go ahead and you can explore with the help of this, some additional settings on your fixed asset parameters page. Okay. And apart from that, there was a concept which I discussed with you, which was number sequences, right? So many of you might have thought how we can use that setup. So under the fixed asset parameters itself, you can come to the number sequences and you can see for fixed asset number, we have a unique number sequence enabled over here that is linked with our fixed asset creation, right? Perfect. So this is how we actually go ahead, work with the fixed assets. Now let me come back to our presentation to see what are the different things that I have discussed with you. I'll come over here and let's try to quickly recap how the journey started. Okay, so we first started our discussion. We talked about what are our fixed assets and what are our current assets. And then we didn't create a fixed asset. First, we talked about what are the books, what are the depreciation profiles, and how the books are automatically mapped to the different types of fixed assets that we create in our finance and operations platform, right? And then we created a fixed asset, right? Now there are two ways. One, you can directly, with the help of the purchase order, you can define whether this item is going to be a fixed asset for me or not, or you can manually go ahead and create the fixed asset on your fixed asset page. Okay, and then acquiring the fixed asset. So two ways, you can create a proposal or you can manually create the journal entry with which you will acquire a fixed asset. Similarly, run the depreciation. Okay, so every fixed asset group will have the depreciation associated, depreciation books linked with it, right? So in that case, what you will do, you are going to go ahead, you run the depreciation. So I showed you how we run the depreciation with the help of the depreciation proposal, right? And if there are four books, you need to run the depreciation for the four different books itself. And then whenever the life of asset is over, maybe after 5 years, maybe after 10 years, based upon which asset you are using, then we can get rid of that asset itself, either by selling the asset or scrapping the asset. Okay. So if you are selling the asset, like I mentioned to you, we sell our asset to our customers and we get some money out of it, or we scrap the asset, right? That means we are scrapping the asset within our organization, and for that, we don't get any money. Perfect. Let's come back. So, yes, now I would like to take some questions from you. If you have any, just please go ahead and put the same in the chat box. Okay, so uh, Genurio has one of the questions. Is 5 years EOA is counted from when we purchased the asset or when the asset was produced? Okay. So when we purchase the asset, when unless and until you have not created a journal entry, it's not recorded in your books, like I've shown you also. Unless and until the status we create an asset, unless and until you have not acquired, you have not posted a transaction related to that asset is simply not yours, right? You have just created. So as soon as you post the transactions from that day itself till the end of 5 years, this asset is going to be with you. Okay. So these are two different concepts. You can create it, but you need to acquire it for running the depreciation and for that asset to be with you. Okay. I hope this clears your question, Genurio, sorry. I'm bad. Okay, I have one more question. Suppose I buy an asset like vehicle and it depreciates. Okay, how best can I make use of it so that I cannot lose it? Okay, okay. If it's possible for you, can you please go ahead and reframe this question once again, because it's a little confusing stating I cannot lose it. So uh, so at the end, maybe you can go ahead, you can extend, okay, you can extend the life based on what kind of criterion you have set for your fixed assets. Okay. So if it's falling under, if based on which books you are using for your fixed assets, so you need to depreciate it, right? That's for sure. Okay, so I was just mentioning to you, if you are using your SLSL method or SSLR, okay, you need to follow the both of the depreciation methods. Okay, so if you're buying an asset and you want to depreciate, how best I can make use of it so that I cannot use it. So for best resolution, you can just go ahead, you can use it to the maximum life, right? So if, for example, you're creating an asset for, for your, what do you say, taxi purpose, right? So in that case, use it to your maximum limit, right? That is my suggestion in this case for you. Any more questions? Do we have an option to retire or dispose an asset in Dynamics 365? Yes, I just showed you how do we actually dispose our asset with the help of our, what do we say? Do we have an option to retire? Yes, we can dispose an asset in the Dynamics 365. Okay. So two ways with which you can get dispose an asset or get rid of an asset. So two ways. That was first. I showed you. You can scrap it or you can sell it. You sell it to your customers and you get some money out of it. Or if you are scrapping it, you scrap the asset within an organization and you don't get any money for it. Also, in this case of a scrapping, a simple example I would like to reframe over here once again is going to be that you're transferring maybe from your, we have those IT people working in that, working in every organization, okay, which have a limited organization, which have a limited requirement. So in that case, you can just transfer, you can just dispose the asset to them itself. Okay, one more question. How can we manage asset maintenance through work order or service order? Just or we would help. Thank you. Okay. How can we manage asset maintenance through work order or service order? Just or we will help. Okay, it's again going to link to, it's a separate concept that we need to understand. Okay. It's going to be, a part of your manufacturing and maintenance. Okay, so unfortunately, I will not be able to discuss the same over here. But one more thing I would like to highlight as a part of our finance and operations, that whenever we are over here in our fixed assets, if you want to define that, when where you are maintaining, where you are actually going to go ahead and repairing this item, right? So if you come to the fixed asset parameters, here's one dedicated tab, maintenance, right? So you can just define the functional location. Okay, but again, it's going to be more of a manufacturing related concept. Okay. One more questions. Are there defined durations for any fixed assets, or that is set by every organization? Excellent question. Okay. Now these, okay, excellent question. So what happens is, like I was mentioned, and I discussed the same with you during our discussion also, that certain assets that are being globally used, say for example vehicles, okay, and let's say computers, we use machinery, we use land, right? So for those the kind of assets, the we it's not going to vary from organization to organization actually, because it's being used, those assets are being used globally. Okay, so they have defined criterion. The books of our the textbooks or the federal tax or the state tax or the IFRS itself tells us that for this particular asset, this is how much depreciation you need to run, this is how much depreciation you need to charge, and they define that what is going to be the life of an asset, right? But in the case, say for example, you create any kind of customized asset, okay, you just join two or three machines and you created a new asset only of your own, which is not being used by any other organization rather than you. In that case, the IFRS gives you liberty that you can define what is going to be the life of that asset, and in that case you can define for how many years you want to run the depreciation. Okay, so it's the liberty IFRS gives you. Okay, and then again, the state tax and federal tax, they have some specific criterion. Maybe they are going to tell you the otherwise, but my aspect is I'm just trying to answer you from the IFRS point of view. They give it the liberty. Okay, I hope this answers your question, Julius. Perfect. Any more questions? One more have been asked. Okay. Oluku, thank you so much. And a pleasure is otherwise. Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dilip. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay. Okay. So if anyone doesn't have, if no one has any question, then we can go ahead. We can wrap up the session for today. We can wrap up this webinar. So it was so wonderful. It was so lovely hosting you guys. I enjoyed a lot. Hope you have enjoyed it. And you get certain best insight about finance and operation, especially about the fixed assets. Okay. So thank you so much. It was so lovely. And that will be all from my side.